Storm Inga coverage continues. I'm meteorologist Reynolds. Will come to you from Raleigh, North Carolina, where it is now snowing and snowing at a pretty decent rate. More expected anywhere from 3 to 6. We'll let you know what's going to come after this. Let me give you a hint. It's going to be awfully chilly.
Chilly indeed. Hello and welcome to our special coverage of Winter Storm Inga. I'm meteorologist Mark Elliott reporting to you here live in the lab. And right now, 44 million people are under winter weather alerts as Inga pushes into the East Coast. Want to go through a little bit about what we know right now with this storm, and it has major impacts on travel. About 1,000 flights in the U.S. have been canceled already today, and then delays on top of that. Around 100,000 customers across 23 different states are without power. I will say the most of those outages are in Texas and Louisiana, and Louisiana's governor has now declared a state of emergency. Plus, it's really cold out there, and so without power, that adds to the woes. There are about 1,200 DOT workers out there trying to clear the roadways of Louisiana. That's how far south this winter storm has had significant impacts. Further to the east, in the mid-Atlantic, the snow is basically just beginning. Your storm day is just starting in a place like Raleigh, North Carolina, bracing for impact. The entire state is on high alert, and that's where we find meteorologist Reynolds Wolf. Reynolds, I want to talk to you about the road conditions behind you, because now the cold air is really coming in, and people might not be used to that, right? I mean, it's usually you say, oh, it's the afternoon, it's going to get better out there, but it could actually get worse today.
Well, you know, it's funny you bring it up. It's an interesting thing. First off, what is it about people always want to blow their horns in the middle of a broadcast? It's the silliest thing in the whole world. Well, there's a lot of, I'll tell you, certainly a lot to beep about when it comes to your forecast. What we're going to be dealing with, Mark, here is you've got a population of roughly 450,000 people in this area. But North Carolina is booming, especially in a spot like Raleigh, the state capital. You've got North Carolina, you've got NC State, you've got Duke, and you have this influx of people from all over the country, some from the Northeast, some from the Great Lakes who may be used to dealing with the snow, but also people from spots like South Florida, South Texas, where snow is something that's a little bit of an anomaly for them. Well, I'll tell you what, it was kind of an anomaly this morning. We didn't have any snow to speak of. We did have some chilly air, but now the snow is beginning to pick up. Areas to our west have actually dropped anywhere from, say, 2 to 4 inches of snowfall. And I'm thinking for our area, mainly to the tune of 3 to 6 inches of snowfall. The airports, well, right now, no major delays, but they are de-icing aircraft out there. I can tell you that in Atlanta, they were certainly doing that. Speaking of Atlanta, by the way, up in Gwinnett County, which is just north of the downtown area, 174 accidents reported on roadways. They do not want that to happen where we happen to be here, right along this road called Wake Forest. Cars are coming right up. People have been told to stay off the roads if at all possible. You can see the traffic high above on radar showing you more of the snow is expected to come on through. The road's slick. They have been treated. But the thing is, when we get those temperatures, Dr. Postel, that we're expecting, well below the freezing point, we're still going to have some ice. You're still going to have some problems, bridges, overpasses, maybe even some of the power lines could be affected. So certainly a trying time, no doubt about it. Dr. Postel, can I bring you in for a moment?
Yes.
Dr. Postel, I had a quick question to ask you. You brought up this really amazing factoid, talking about, and I may be wrong here, I think you mentioned Marietta, Georgia, and Madison, Wisconsin, and the amount of snow each has garnered so far this season. And Marietta has more than University of Wisconsin. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, how about them apples, Reynolds? It's about the same, but it's really odd. I mean, there are places in the South, right, that this season have gotten more than many locations up near the Canadian border. That's bizarre, isn't it? Don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, what do you blame that on? Is that just basically the storm track? Is it just that the right circumstances just came together for the Southeast to garner these higher amounts?
Yeah, that's exactly it, Reynolds. I mean, we just had this odd circumstance where we had the storm track suppressed pretty far to the south with the jet stream that has really come out of Canada and driven it that way. So, you know, it's a pain in the neck, really, for many locations in the south because we just can't deal with it. But it looks like where you are, they're doing with it pretty well, right? The roads are more wet in and around the tri-state or the Research Triangle area than white. Would you say that's true?
Absolutely. I mean, they're fine for the time being, but, you know, this Wake Forest Road is a really busy thoroughfare. I mean, you always have folks moving up and down this roadway. The place, Dr. Postel, and I know you get this, you're probably much more aware of this, is that the side roads, the ones that are really going to be untreated. I mean, they've got the interstate in pretty good shape. They've got roads like this one in pretty good condition for the time being, but that's going to change. But there are many streets that have been untouched. Those are the ones I'm really worried about when you get to midnight, when you get to 2 o'clock in the morning, when you get to 4 o'clock in the morning. Those those are going to be really glazed over, and that certainly could be trying for a lot of people.
Yes, the icing times are yet to come, Reynolds, and that's the real issue that we have to contend with going forward during the afternoon hours. Let me show you some of the observations in and around now North Carolina. If you can switch it over to my Max, my computer, it's 48, just by the way. There are some numbers coming in and out of the south where, yeah, we know it's really cold, but if you want to look at the radar and look at some of the snowfall that's occurring now in North Carolina, here it is. 32 degrees. You noticed where Reynolds was, the roads were wet, and that's often what happens when you're right around 32, 31, and just there, a couple degrees either side of freezing. But when you get to 28, 27, even less than that, then it starts to get a real problem even on the well-traveled roads. And I think those kinds of temperatures are being experienced now across the central part of the state, Greensboro and Charlotte. But that colder air will move into Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, everywhere around the area, Cary eventually, and we'll see some of those roads get very white rather than wet. So travel may not look bad now, but it's going to get worse later on today, especially overnight tonight, and tomorrow morning could be a problem, even though the snow will have been gone by then. So let's time out the snow, though, because by early afternoon, we're still going to be seeing areas that get sort of an accumulation rate, maybe a half inch to an inch per hour. An hour ago, Durham, just an area nearby Durham, had 4.5 inches of snow. And with several more inches yet to come, when it's all said and done, Central North Carolina, there are going to be places that end up with probably 8, 9, maybe even 10 inches of snow, perhaps, as the system moves away. But good news here, by 7, 8 o'clock, the snow should begin to wind down in central North Carolina and eventually eastern North Carolina. Still snowing maybe in the Outer Banks overnight tonight, but not as much as you're going to get right in here. Now, again, this is how much is yet to fall. Add on what you've already gotten. That will be the storm total, and that is a significant number. So we'll be dealing with that for several more hours yet to come. Also, several more hours of snow in the northeast. Most of this is light in nature and along the coast. In fact, it's rain. But this is what we're going to be dealing with later on today. A little bit of a low-pressure system moving along the coast, but it's not a big bomb cyclone by any means. It'll just prolong the snow, likely in down East Maine, through the overnight hours. Make sure you stay tuned to all our live coverage of the winter storm.